All right, TOT time. World, how's it going? Welcome to another TOT. I'm your host, LR Brett, and today we're in the guest bedroom and we're going to cover my fire Neocaridina shrimp tank that happens to be on this 3x40 rack right here. So here we have my fire red Neocaridina colony, and this is my main colony. It doesn't look like much right now, but when we look closer into it, you can see there's shrimp and all kinds of life going on. Now the moss in here, it's not doing the best, but it is on the rebound. I recently raised the lights. Lighting is an Aquaneat that I got off of eBay. I did have it up here, but that was just too far away and my plants weren't getting any light. So all my moss almost dwindled down to nothing, but it is slowly rebounding now that I'm feeding it and everything. Do also have some guppy grass in here, some nausea grass, to just kind of help balance the algae since I have more light on and not that much moss. But even though there's not much moss or not much for plants in here at all, as you can see there are hundreds of shrimp. Hundreds. And a lot has to do with this right here. This is a rock pile. Now I have a video about these rock piles and how they're safe havens for shrimp. And what they do is it creates a nursery for baby shrimp and for pregnant mamas that have their babies in, and helps make them feel secure. And this is a great method if you want to keep shrimp with fish as well. And there's actually some PVC pipe in there. I gave them kind of tunnels, that way they can run, have like a highway straight through the front and the back. Yeah, I know, I spoil them a little bit, but check them out. Nice and red. And that's mostly the females that are displaying that super red color, because the males actually aren't as solid as you can see here. I mean, this is pretty good for a male fire red. But if you look at all the females, they're the opposite story. They're all super red. So when you do get my cherries, a lot of times I'll use some of these males for my regular cherries. So my regular cherries even have fire red blood in them down the line after you breed them. Well, a lot of people may not know that about the males in the fire reds. So a lot of times the fire reds you'll end up getting elsewhere, you'll just get a whole bunch of females if they're all super red. Everybody will go for the super reds, and then they'll be wondering why they're not breeding. It's because they're all female. And also whenever I'm grabbing, like you can see there's quite a few males in here. Like I'll start swooping some of these up. That way I do gain more females later down the line, and I do try to get the ones that are more translucent, but sometimes it can be hard to keep up with because you never know who's going to throw what and what they're going to grow up to be. Now you notice on this shrimp here it actually has a split body, same with this shrimp on the tail. Now I keep these, I don't ship these, but all it is a bad molt. Since I was going through some water change issues and all that, some of my shrimp had some bad molts, and now they're kind of scarred from it. We're going to see if they will actually molt out of it in the future. I'm not sure if they will or not. And here's a nice quick pan of all the shrimp in the tank. Now I have some river rock in there as well, the bigger river rock, same with the smaller, it's just regular river rock. As far as the substrate, it's Eco Complete. The moss is peacock moss, and that sponge filter is just a regular corner sponge filter. Now I do let the algae grow on the side because the shrimp love to graze on it, as you can see here. Now here's what it looks like after I throw a little bit of food in there. I couldn't throw much in there because they're actually all getting ready to be shipped out. So I like to fast them for a little while before I do. Now if you look real close to the substrate, you'll see a bunch of little white things kind of jumping around. You'll see the babies, but all these tiny little white specks. Now what that is, that's Daphnia. And Daphnia, or aka seed shrimp, are very common in established shrimp tanks. They're usually always in every single tank, but fish will keep them at bay and will eat them. You can see them on the sponge filter there. But what Daphnia does is help balance the water. They'll eat microflora out of the water, other bacterias and other stuff. So they'll actually help keep the water clean. They're kind of like a clam. But sometimes they can get a little crazy, and that usually just means keep up on your water changes a little more. They'll go through booms like snails will. Both shrimp and Daphnia. Look at that, all the babies are playing King of the Hill. Saddled shrimp, buried shrimp. Saddled shrimp, buried shrimp. And if you've never seen a shrimp molt, that's what it looks like. Kind of like the skin left over as if it was a snake. And as far as the parameters in this tank, this is harder water, around 350 TDS. Temp stays around 72 to 78, depending on if it's winter or summer. Now I have had this tank softer at around 150, and the shrimp did fine. So you can keep these shrimp in harder or softer water. Just as long as they have a source of calcium, they'll be good to go. And that's what's good about some of these rocks, especially in these smaller group pile, because more than likely there's rocks in here that contain calcium as well. And that's another reason why the Daphnia like it too. And if you notice, there's not much for snails in here. If there was more snails in here, there wouldn't be as much Daphnia either. Now, if I had to guess, the pH is probably around 8.6. But I never actually test it. But I know it's usually on the higher side when I'm just using my tap water. And it also has the bubble deli cup lid deflector for the air bubbles. Alright, so there's my 40-gallon red Neocaridina main tank. So there you have it for this week's This Old Tank. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell for all the happenings that's about to go down. And hit that like button if you enjoyed it and maybe you learned something. Until next time, everybody.